Good morning. Welcome to your daily morning digest for Friday, February 13th, 2026. I'm your host, and over the next 15 minutes, we're diving into the biggest stories moving markets around the world, some fascinating global events you need to know about, and finishing with a life wisdom segment that might just change how you approach your day. Grab your coffee, let's get started. First up, let's talk about Instacart, the grocery delivery giant that's just given investors something to cheer about. The company formerly known as Maple Bear is forecasting a seriously strong first quarter, and here's why this matters beyond just their stock price. Instacart expects gross transaction value between $10.1 billion and $10.3 billion for the quarter ending in March. That's not just beating analyst estimates of $9.97 billion, it's crushing them. But here's the real story, this isn't just about people ordering more avocados and toilet paper. Instacart's advertising revenue jumped 12% in the last quarter, even as one of their biggest brand partners pulled back on spending due to economic uncertainty. Think about what that means. When major brands are tightening their belts but Instacart's ad business is still growing double digits, it shows they're becoming an essential platform for consumer brands to reach shoppers. And this was despite one of their largest advertising partners cutting back. The company didn't name who, but the fact that they grew anyway? That's resilience. It tells you that grocery delivery has moved from pandemic convenience to permanent consumer habit. The essentials demand is holding strong, and Instacart is becoming the advertising platform for the grocery industry. Speaking of trade deals that matter, the United States and Taiwan have just finalized a significant reciprocal trade agreement, and this one has semiconductor implications written all over it. Under the deal signed by Trump administration officials, US tariffs on Taiwanese goods will be set at 15%. Now, that's down from a previously planned 20% reciprocal rate, but here's the key part. Taiwan has committed to a schedule for eliminating or lowering their own tariffs on American goods. This isn't just about cheaper Taiwanese electronics for American consumers. Taiwan is the world's semiconductor powerhouse. When the US and Taiwan make trade deals, global tech supply chains feel it. Taiwan has also pledged to increase financing for American semiconductor operations by $500 billion. Let that number sink in, $500 billion. That's not just a trade deal, that's a strategic alignment to bring more chip manufacturing back to American soil. With Taiwan producing the vast majority of the world's most advanced semiconductors, this deal could reshape how and where your next iPhone, laptop, and car gets its brain. Now let's pivot to the biotech space where PacBio just delivered a fourth quarter earnings report that has investors doing a double take. The DNA sequencing company reported revenue of $44.65 million, beating analyst estimates of $43.04 million. That's 13.8% year-over-year growth, which in the biotech world is meaningful. But here's the number that really stands out, their non-GAAP gross margin expanded to 40% in Q for 2025, up from 31% in the same quarter last year. That's a 9 percentage point improvement in just 12 months. For a company in the precision medicine space, margin expansion like that suggests they are not just growing, they're growing efficiently. The company is also getting leaner, non-GAAP operating expenses dropped to $56.2 million from $68.6 million. The human genomics market is driving this growth, and PacBio is positioning itself right at the center of where healthcare is heading, personalized medicine based on your actual DNA. In the biotech consolidation corner, XOMA Royalty Corporation has completed its acquisition of Generation Bio, and the market is watching closely. TD Cowen has reinstated XOMA's stock rating as a hold following the deal. The acquisition price was $4.29 per share plus a contingent value right, and Generation Bio is now a wholly owned subsidiary. Generation Bio was trading with a market cap around $36 million before the deal, and notably had a strong liquidity position with a current ratio of 4.44. What makes this interesting is XOMA's business model. They're a royalty company, which means they acquire biotech assets and collect revenue streams from them rather than developing drugs themselves. By bringing Generation Bio into the fold, XOMA is expanding its portfolio of genetic medicine assets. Now let's check in on crypto markets where Bitcoin is having a rough week. The world's largest cryptocurrency is on track for a 4-day losing streak as traders reassess the outlook for Federal Reserve rate cuts. After hitting a record all-time high around $126,000 back in the fourth quarter of 2025, Bitcoin has pulled back significantly and is now trading in a much lower range. Some analysts are projecting a 2026 bottom potentially between $45,000 and $65,000, which would be a substantial correction from those highs. Here's what's driving the uncertainty: the crypto market is increasingly tied to traditional finance. When traders are uncertain about Fed policy, that uncertainty flows directly into Bitcoin. The traditional 4-year halving cycle that Bitcoin has followed seems to be breaking down as institutional money and ETFs change the dynamics. February is showing a complex market with renewed ETF inflows but decreased whale selling, suggesting potential reaccumulation. But for now, the short-term trend is bearish, and traders are watching CPI data and Fed signals closely. And finally, in markets, a geopolitical story that's shaking up North American relations. Alberta separatists are ramping up efforts to leave Canada following meetings with Trump administration officials. The Alberta Prosperity Project is leading a petition campaign to trigger an independence vote in the Western province. They're aiming to collect signatures by May 2 to force a referendum. Now, this isn't just political theatre. Alberta is Canada's energy powerhouse. If Alberta were to separate, it would fundamentally reshape Canada's economy and energy exports. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has pushed back, saying she expects US officials to leave discussions about the province's democratic process to Albertans and Canadians. But the fact that separatists are getting meetings with senior Trump officials has Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney clearly concerned. He's been direct with President Trump about respecting Canadian sovereignty. Shifting gears to global news, and we've got two stories that are absolutely captivating. First, the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina, Italy, are producing some of the most dramatic moments in winter sports history. Norwegian cross-country skiing superstar Johannes Høsflot Klaebo is on the verge of making Olympic history. He already won 2 gold medals at these games, and on day 7 of competition, that's today, February 13th, he's competing in his third of 6 events with a chance to match the all-time Winter Olympic record of 8 gold medals overall. Let me put this in perspective. Klaebo entered these Olympics with 5 career gold medals already. At just 28 years old, he's been called the Michael Phelps of the Winter Olympics. His skiathlon victory earlier this week was redemption for a 40th place finish in that same event at the 2022 Beijing Games. He covered the grueling course in 46 minutes and 11 seconds, holding off challengers from France and fellow Norwegian Martin Nyenjet. The all-time record is 8 golds, held by his countryman Bjorn Dali. If Klaebo matches that today, he'll have 3 more events to potentially break the record entirely. This is the kind of dominance we rarely see in any sport. Imagine winning Olympic gold after Olympic gold in what is arguably the most grueling endurance sport on snow. And in space news that feels like it's straight out of a movie, NASA and SpaceX are launching for astronauts to the International Space Station this morning. The Crew-12 mission is scheduled to lift off at 5:15 a.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida aboard a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft and Falcon 9 rocket. This is a relief crew rotation, meaning they're heading up to take over operations on the station while the current crew comes home. These crewed launches never get old. Every single one represents years of training, engineering, and the human drive to explore. SpaceX has now made these launches look routine, but they absolutely are not. And now, let's shift gears to today's Life Wisdom segment. Today's wisdom comes from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who spent his career studying what he called flow, the state of optimal experience. His central insight is profound and counterintuitive. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you create through the right conditions. Csikszentmihalyi's research revealed that people are happiest not when they're relaxing on a beach or buying something new, but when they're in a state of complete absorption in a challenging task. Think about the last time you were so engrossed in something that you lost track of time. Maybe it was coding, painting, playing music, having a deep conversation, or solving a complex problem. That feeling of effortless focus where your skills perfectly match the challenge at hand, that's flow. Here's the key insight: flow exists in the narrow band between boredom and anxiety. If a task is too easy, you get bored. Your mind wanders. You check your phone. You disengage. If a task is too hard, you get anxious. You freeze up. You procrastinate. You feel overwhelmed. But when the challenge stretches your abilities just enough that you have to be fully present to meet it, that's where flow lives. Csikszentmihalyi discovered that the people who reported the highest life satisfaction weren't the ones with the most money or leisure time. They were the ones who regularly experienced flow states. A rock climber scaling a difficult route. A surgeon in the middle of a complex procedure. A writer when the words are flowing faster than they can type. A programmer when elegant solutions emerge seemingly without effort. So how do you engineer more flow in your daily life? Start by identifying your flow activities. What do you do where time seems to disappear? What challenges actually energize you rather than drain you? Those are your clues. Then look at your schedule. Flow requires uninterrupted time. The modern world is designed to fragment your attention, notifications, emails, Slack messages, meetings. Every interruption pulls you out of potential flow states. Create protected blocks of time where you can go deep on challenging work without distraction. Match your tasks to your skill level. If you're bored, increase the challenge. Take on a harder project, learn a new technique, add constraints that force creativity. If you're anxious, break the task down or build your skills before attempting it. The goal is that sweet spot where you're fully engaged but not overwhelmed. And perhaps most importantly, understand that flow is an active choice. You don't stumble into it by accident. You create the conditions for it deliberately. You set clear goals. You get immediate feedback so you know if you're making progress. You commit fully to the task at hand. Csikszentmihalyi's work reminds us that the good life isn't about accumulating experiences or possessions. It's about the quality of our attention and engagement. A life with regular flow states is a life where you're growing, contributing, and fully alive. The happiness we seek isn't waiting at the finish line of some future achievement. It's available right now, in the next challenge you choose to meet with your full presence and capability. That's your morning digest for Friday, February 13th, 2026. Thanks for spending your morning with us. Now get out there and find your flow.